All right, so we worked through these a little bit, but a quick little refresher here. So number one, just finding our value. So we need to find our z-score. And our value is 70 minus 80 over 7.7. That then simplifies down to negative 1.30, which remember was actually 1.298, and that 8 rounds that up. That 9 becomes 10, so that becomes 1.30. Z-score, we always want 2 decimal places. Then we go look in our table, and we get a value of 0.0968, which then we convert to 9.68%. All right, and then number 2, now we are given the percent, and so we got to work backwards. So we go look for this 0.3500, and the closest we had was 0.3483, and working back, that gave us a negative 0.39, and that's our z-score. And our value we didn't know, subtract our mean over our standard deviation. Go and multiply both sides by that 7.7. We get negative 3.003 equals x minus 80. Add that 80 over, and x equals 76.997, which then we round to 77 miles per hour. All right, number 3, similar deal, but we want the top 5%. So if you think about in our picture, all right, we want this top 5% there, which means our percentage isn't 5%. It's actually going to be measured from 0 to there. So that means we're going to be looking for the 95%, or 0.9500, which when we go look that up, it actually falls between 2 values. We get 0.9495 and 0.9505. So it's actually equidistant between those two. I'm going to go with this one here, which then gives us a z-score of 1.65, which then using our equation here, our value is unknown. So multiplying that over, get 12.71. Add that 80. And we get 92.71 miles per hour. All right, so some quick notes as we work through this. So previously we used our z-score to find the area. Now we're going to find the value. Given the area. So we're essentially looking at our graph. And so remember, the area in our table is always going to be the left side. So be careful, like number 3, if they're talking about this side, you need to subtract 1 minus the decimal, or 100 minus the percent, either of those. And then what we want to do from there is remember we have our z, which you would then get from the table. Our value is now what we're going to solve for. That is our x minus our mean over our standard deviation. And then just a quick reminder, normal distribution is made up of our mean and standard deviation symbols there. So we look at our area in the table. We want to find the closest area in the decimal form, and then from there work out to the z-score. And from that we can substitute that in and solve for x. Now in this similar vein, not that we'll do a bunch of them, but you do have a challenge problem, is find the mean or the standard deviation given your area. So similar deal, we take that area and now we probably know our value, or we need to know it, and then we can either solve for the mean or the standard deviation. Again, take your area. You're going to find the closest area to work out to the z-score, substitute that in, and then you're solving for a different portion. So go ahead and try these next problems here. So 8th percentile, so we're looking for 0.0800, and if you look on the z table, we get one that is pretty darn close at 0.0793, which then gives us a z-score of negative 1.41. Then working so after working that out, we get 116.35 milligrams. And then looking at number 2, or now looking, he tells this patient that only 17% of other boys have higher cholesterol. What's the patient? So this is now, as you think about that graph is, it's now this side of it, so we need to subtract. So this is going to be 83% over here, so 0.830 for your percent. And our closest one, looking at that one, becomes 0.8289, which then gives us a z-score of 0.95, which after working through that, you get 175.35 milligrams. Now 3 becomes a little different because we're looking for the middle 50. So we need to have 2 scores, and our little hint is Q1 and Q3. So if you think about your breakdown, your middle 50, it's going to be there, which means you have 25 on each side percent of your data. So this one's going to be at 25%, and this one will be at 75%. So then from that, you'll get your 2 decimals you're going to look for. Then you get your 2 z-scores that you're going to work with. And then allowing you to do the work there, but you should have the range of 134.85 milligrams to 168.35 milligrams. And then last one here, we have a challenge. Now, once you work out, you're going to find the standard deviation on this. And maybe the first 2 students in each period to get this score, correct answer to me, earn themselves a little extra credit. And yes, there's a certain person out there, I'm thinking of you, here's your chance of extra credit so you can no longer complain about me not offering that. So just make sure you're one of the first two to get it into me.